happening. Looks as though I need to put it down a little bit more. I don't know how to do this, really. Really, I don't. I'm a novice. So they say. So it is said. Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm here. Thank God. That's good enough, right? We're here. This is chapter 1 of my book, The Moon Child. Okay. Just be kind, you know. This takes a certain level of vulnerability, which I'm good with. But, you know, and I'm okay with criticism, but people just need to stop being so mean. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 1. July 3rd, 1972. Oh my gosh, are they ever going to take the picture? Lisa thought to herself as the nurse stood in the doorway. Brand new muscles here, kinda hurts. A second nurse joined the first. Is that the one? The second nurse asked. Yes, Nurse 1 responded. Nurse 2 looked at Lisa and said, Is that baby smiling at us? Nurse 1 replied, You should have been there when she was born. She didn't make a sound, total silence. We thought she was dead, but her eyes were wide open. Weird, the second nurse replied. Finally, Nurse 1 raised the cumbersome camera to take the picture. Okay, I'm smiling. Take the picture. Cheeks hurting. Come on, lady, Lisa thought. I can't wait to start this journey. Then came the most blinding flash, as if standing at the zenith of an atomic bomb explosion. This is a week later. You did what? Carol asked as she gathered everything. Lisa was going home today. It'll be fine, Mike assured her. Besides, we'll be able to go to the cabin whenever we want. Our cabin. Our cabin. No more waiting to put our name on a calendar. I wish you'd just talk to me first, Carol was upset. Why? I make the money, he said. Carol gave him a glare. Mike grinned back, his eyes sparkling. Mike! Ugh, we'll talk later, Carol said as she scooped up Lisa. Let's go, Dawn. Is Rusty doing any better? Rusty was the Irish setter. That was the family's dog. Carol asked if he was doing any better as they left. No, Mike replied. Gary's coming out to take care of him this afternoon. Does Christopher know yet? Carol asked. No, was the response. You can break it to him when we get home, Mike said. Mike! He's going to be devastated, Carol scolded. I can't believe you. Mike held his position, typical, Carol thought. He always puts the hard moments of parenting on me. Even with everything I'm doing to accept this burden, he and his family always make me out to be the villain. Rusty's the family dog. Christopher reads stories to Rusty. The dog acts like he understands him. They had a special bond. When Rusty began running into trees, Christopher lent him his army helmet. Rusty had developed a large tumor on his throat, making it difficult for him to eat. When Gary arrived, Carol asked him to take Rusty to his property to finish him. Carol knew Christopher's heart would be broken as it was, let alone having to watch it happen. Christopher was just too young for that. August 1972. The bus is leaving, Mike called out. They were at a campground in northern Michigan, the last latrines until Mackinac City. Is everybody in? Mike looked back to make sure he saw 3 heads. Carol settled in and placed a sleeping Lisa on the seat between her and Mike. Okie dokie, let's go. The pea green Chevrolet Suburban continued the journey northward. I spy with my little eye, Dawn said teasingly. Something that begins with M. Mommy! Christopher shouted excitedly. Everyone laughed. Idiot, Michael shouted. That's too easy. Michael punched Christopher in the thigh. Mommy, Michael hit me, Christopher cried. Shut up, no I didn't. Michael raised his hand. Do you want me to? Mike whispered, threatening to hit him again. That was not a whisper, though. Mike's right arm flew into the back seat, attempting to slap the kid's legs. Behave back there, Mike shouted. If you boys don't put a sock in it, there'll be no fireworks. Honk, 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 honk. It was a car passing them on the highway. Mike rolled down the window with the hand crank. Your roof, a woman pointed at the roof of the Suburban. There's a baby bottle up there. Oh, shoot, Carol said. She quickly lifted herself up through the window to sit on the door. She grabbed the bottle and slid back into her seat. Mike waved at the couple, who sped off to their summer holiday. Dawn, we don't have many bottles with us. You need to keep better track of things, Carol reminded her. Why does Dawn need to keep track of anything? You're the mother, Mike argued. Yeah, it's your responsibility, Mom, Dawn quipped. Mike looked back at his little princess and gave her a grin as if to say, nice one. Carol lit a cigarette and glared at Mike. Mike just shrugged like it was all funny. Carol wanted to leap from the car, run away. It wasn't an option. She'd really be the villain then. Carol sat silent, staring out the window, imagining what her life could have been. Abortion became legal too late. Chris's 4th birthday, September 2nd, 1972. A warm autumn day, Carol thought as she wearily gazed at the deer searching for cobs of corn left behind by the farmer. Today Christopher turns 4 years old. I never would have imagined my life would turn out this way. A year ago I was on cloud 9. Now I'm covered in a cloud of shame. Because of Dawn. The coffee pot interrupted her thoughts with its last percolation. I have a party to throw, Carol drew from her cigarette. 30 minutes before Chris wakes up. He's the sweetest boy. I have to get his gifts wrapped and clean a little. Martha will be doing her white glove test. Usually I look forward to hearing that high-pitched judgmental after she finds no dust. It used to make me laugh. I used to laugh. Carol sat in the rocker to feed Lisa. Can I feed the baby? Mindy excitedly asked. Not today, Carol replied. Mindy sat on the shag carpeting and returned to holding Dawn's baby doll, intently watching for Carol feed Lisa. Carol rocked Lisa until well after she fell asleep. Someone remarked that they couldn't tell which was the real baby, Lisa or Dawn's baby doll. Martha said, Carol, hold both of them like you had twins. It'll be fun. Martha caught everyone's attention to come into the living room. You have to see this, she said. Myron, bring your camera. Everyone obliged. It was remarkable. That is remarkable, Pam gasped. Myron, take the picture before she wakes up. Martha pushed Myron's elbow. Myron knelt down and snapped the picture. Okay, I'm going to take a little break and read some comments. Hi, Jinka and Linda. I'm just reading a bit of my book, which will have pictures of these things that I'm talking about having pictures. The next day, after Chris's 4th birthday party, at 8:30 a.m. the phone rang as it did every day. Carol picked up the receiver. Hello, Mom. Hello, dear. How was your morning? Jackie asked her daughter. They spoke for about an hour. Carol said goodbye as it was time for the baby's morning nap. Time to clean the floors, Carol thought to herself after she laid the baby down to sleep. Floors were filthy from the party. Of course she swept directly after, but they needed a good scrubbing. When she finished the floors, she checked on Lisa, peeking through the door, noticing something on the floor with the baby. That was not there when she laid the baby down. Her worst fear was always that one of her children would suffocate on a blanket while sleeping, so she never placed anything around them when they slept. Carol hurried in to see what the object was. Where the hell did this come from? It was a white baby blanket folded in half, placed on Lisa's legs. Carol reached to remove the blanket. As soon as she did, the baby shrieked and began crying. Carol replaced the blanket. The baby immediately fell back to sleep. Carol couldn't understand where this came from. She tried grabbing the blanket and running from the room. Lisa began crying again. She never cries, Carol thought. What is happening? As she replaced the blanket, Lisa slept again. Someone must have come in and put this here. But who? How? We're in the middle of nowhere. Carol hurriedly checked all the doors and windows. They were all closed and locked. She lit a cigarette, her hands shaking. Who, when, and how was someone in this house? Carol racked her brain trying to understand where this blanket came from. She went back to looking on Lisa. As Carol entered the room, she saw the blanket lift up and cover the baby's lower half. Carol immediately snatched the blanket and went to throw it in the trash. I don't care how long she cries. That thing is evil, she thought to herself. This time, though, the baby screamed bloody murder. When Carol entered the room, blanket in one hand, cigarette in the other, Lisa continued screaming. She placed the blanket on the child's feet. Abruptly, Lisa stopped crying and went back to sleep. Carol backed out of the room. What is happening here? She returned to the kitchen. I'll get that thing away from her eventually. Oh no, we're having a habooby. It's habooby time. That was a habooby warning. Haboob. Dust storm. Okay. Is everybody enjoying this? I hope. Diet Mountain Dew. I love it. Okay. Christmas time, 1972. Where's the baby? Dawn exclaimed as she ran down the hallway. Michael and Christopher came running after her. Suddenly, they heard a tiny giggle coming from the living room. What is she doing? Christopher asked as he ran up to the Christmas tree where they found Lisa laying on her back, looking up into the tree. The lights were blinking and sparkling as if playing a silent tune. Soon, all three children were laying next to Lisa and laughing with her. Lisa watched her siblings as they saw what she saw and enjoyed it just as much. What are you doing? Carol screeched from the hallway. Get out from underneath there. Carol snatched Lisa up quickly. The moment was spoiled. Turned into the worst thing any of them could do. Carol sent them all to the rooms and set Lisa on the floor in her room. Christmas Day. Christmas dinner was at Martha and Myron's home this year. Nancy and Jean were there with their children, Stephen, Randy, and Nancy Lynn. Pam and Gary with their children, Mindy and Matthew. Mike and Carol with Dawn, Michael, Chris, and Lisa. Stephen and Michael were always at odds, constantly insulting one another. Christopher, Matthew, and Randy got along very well, and were always doing something fun. Dawn, Mindy, and Nancy Lynn were close. Randy kept shoving gum in his mouth. I'm going to make the biggest bubble. Watch this, little one, Randy said as he chewed frantically. He started blowing the bubble. It grew bigger and bigger until it was twice the size of his own head. It popped, and the baby clapped and giggled. Randy made another bubble, bigger than the last. Someone snapped a picture. Christmas dinner was nearly ready. Afterwards, everyone gathered in the living room. Time for the cousins to have a picture taken. Someone plopped the baby in a chair. The cousins gathered to the left. Michael and Stephen were insulting each other as usual. Randy was making jokes. Everyone laughed. Mindy was solely focused on the baby, who was ready for the picture. When everyone laughed, the baby turned her attention to the crowd to her left. Mindy kept saying, "Look at the camera, baby, we're taking pictures." Lisa looked at her and thought, what is wrong with her? Why do these people think I'm dumb? Lisa had been looking at the camera. Mindy kept repeating, look at the camera, look at the camera. As Mindy was repeating that, Nancy Lynn kept saying, shut up, Mindy, no one cares about the stupid baby. The baby, knowing there would be several pictures taken at once, turned her head and smiled in time for the last picture to be taken. A snowy day early in 1973. Mommy, can I pull the sleigh, please? Chris was excited. They were going to the lake to skate with the neighbor. Yes, but keep it straight. Don't yank her around, Mom said sternly as she placed the baby in the sleigh. Lisa had several layers on to protect from the cold. Chris got his and Carol's skates and put them in the sleigh with Lisa. Just then the neighbor arrived. Chris put the strap for the sleigh over his head and began to pull Lisa with the strap around his waist. Chris started to run to get up the small hill into the street. The baby fell back, stopped by the back of the sleigh. Lisa was wearing too much clothing to be hurt at all. The baby managed to pull herself up by the time Christopher reached the small slope. As they approached the left turn, the baby hung on to both sides of the sleigh. This is fun. During the turn, something hit the right sleigh blade. The sleigh started to tip. It happened very slowly. Lisa looked at her hand on the right side and the ground and thought, oh no, my hand's going to get crushed, and moved her right hand to the left side of the sleigh, which tipped onto its side. She couldn't keep her grip, and the sleigh slammed on its side. Lisa slid out into the street, seated with her legs straight in front of her. How did the baby do that so fast? The neighbor exclaimed. The baby spun a couple of times and fell back, noticing how beautiful the snow-covered trees were as she lay face up in the street like a starfish. Sparkly almost. Carol picked Lisa up and replaced her in the sleigh. You have to be careful, Christopher, Carol scolded. Sorry, Mom. Chris apologized and began skipping ahead to the lake. No, seriously, Carol, what was that? Mary asked. This one's been a strange one from the start, Carol replied. I told you about her birth, didn't I? Yeah, but sometimes babies don't cry. Mary was searching for a rational answer still. She still doesn't cry for anything, though. Not to say she's hungry, wet, hurt. The other day I accidentally stuck a diaper pin straight through her skin on her hip. She barely fussed. I didn't notice it until I changed her diaper hours later. I bet she screamed when you took it out, Mary chuckled. Not a peep, Carol replied. Did I tell you a couple months ago a blanket showed up in her crib? Carol knew full well there was no crib, but she would be mortified if anyone found out. She was always the perfect mother in other people's eyes. What do you mean showed up? Mary asked. I mean, I was home alone. Christopher was at Mom's. The house was locked up tight. I went to check on her, and this blanket was next to her. Now she cries if that thing is not with her. You have to get rid of it, Mary said. Trust me, I've tried. Lisa is connected to it somehow. She can be sound asleep and know that I've taken it. The woman looked back at Lisa. They both continued walking, thinking of how odd this all was. I'm still trying to figure out how she grabbed the other side of the sled so quickly when it fell. I didn't see her hand move at all. Carol began to feel uncomfortable talking about this and subtly changed the subject. When they arrived at the lake, everyone grabbed their skates and put them on. Christopher bolted off. He was such a natural. I don't remember him ever falling, Carol said. It's like he was born with skates on. Mary and Carol laughed as they finished lacing up. Carol pulled the baby around the frozen lake while Chris skated his heart out. Soon Lisa was asleep. Lisa woke up in the sleigh at the end of E Avenue. They were headed home. It was a beautiful day. Lisa laid in the sleigh looking up into the sparkling trees. It began to snow. This is so beautiful, Lisa thought as they neared the house. Sunday mornings were warm. Well, this is obviously a couple days later. Sunday mornings were warm. Carol made a fire before everyone woke. The house slowly came to life as Carol started the coffee. Sausage sizzled in the pan while pancakes stayed warm in the oven. Mike finished his breakfast and put his boots on to fetch the more firewood, and the Sunday paper. He was in a good mood today. After breakfast, everyone gathered in the living room, reading their favorite perspective sections of the paper. However, no one was allowed to touch the paper until Mike had read the sections. Lisa crawled up to Mike, who was on his stomach in front of the fireplace reading. Carol told Mike to pay attention to the baby for a moment. Mike argued, but rolled over and lifted Lisa onto his feet, tossing her into the air a few times. The baby giggled with delight. Mike caught her, put her back on the carpet, and said, "That's all you get for a nickel." Mike returned to reading his paper, completely ignoring her. Lisa crawled toward the heat of the fireplace. She sat with her back against the warm hearth, looking at the people who called themselves her parents. This is wrong, she thought to herself. Lisa crawled to Carol and hugged her shin. Carol swooped the baby up and placed Lisa in her bedroom, closing the door. Bare wood floors, white walls. Lisa crawled to Buddy, held the blanket to her face, and took in a strong inhale. Solace and comfort were what the blanket brought Lisa. How does it smell so good, she thought. She instantly felt at ease. The floor was bare in spots from Lisa drooling as she slept. She picked some varnish away from a drool spot. She looked out the window. Snowy, beautiful, sparkly, and white. Hello again, Linda. Springtime 1973. Lisa woke up, drool on her face and the floor. The house was very quiet. She looked out the window. The trees were still bare, but had green starting on them. Am I alone, she thought? Excuse me. Belchity, belchity, belch. Am I alone, she thought? Lisa crawled to the open floor. Looking around, she saw no one. The open door. Then she heard dishes clanking in the kitchen. Yay! Lisa thought, someone is home. She crawled down the shag carpeted hallway. My knees hurt, she thought, as she sat near the closet taking a break. The baby made her way onto the linoleum floor. She took a break again. She could see Carol standing at the sink doing dishes. Lisa continued crawling to Carol and pulled herself up to hug Carol's calf. Lisa gave a good squeeze. Carol flung her leg out, slamming Lisa into the cupboard door. The baby sat shocked, looking at Carol. Carol looked down at her with disdain. The baby crawled back to her room to the comfort of Buddy. The blanket brought her more comfort than anyone in this house. Buddy was never upset by a hug. One day, while playing quietly in her room, Lisa's door swung open. There stood a man wearing a construction belt. "There's a baby in here," he said as he moved from the doorway. Carol came to get Lisa and placed her in the living room. "Stay in here. They're putting carpet in your room today." Carol walked away. Men brought the carpet and padding inside and placed it in the living room. The men went away again. Lisa crawled as fast as her little legs would go back to her room. "I love these floors. They're so pretty. I will not let this happen," Lisa thought to herself. "The baby's back," the man yelled to Carol. Carol came and grabbed some toys and placed Lisa in the living room again. This happened repeatedly. The man told Carol that Lisa could not be in the room and threatened to reschedule the carpet installation. Lisa understood what they were saying. She came up with her own compromise. She took her toys and moved them into the closet. "Leave me something pretty," Lisa thought. She was angry. Carol and the man looked at each other and laughed. "Can we just do the room and not the closet?" Carol asked. "Yes, but I can't change the price," the man replied. Carol said, "That's fine, I suppose." She glared at Lisa, sitting in the closet as she left. Lisa glared right back. The man chuckled, then started laying the tack strips. No matter how loud and scary the work being done was, Lisa didn't budge. The man laid the padding, then the carpet. He paused and looked at Lisa, smiling at her when he got to the closet door. Lisa moved into the closed part of the closet. She understood she should not be in the way. Finally, the man was done. Carol came in and inspected his work. "I'm done now. You can come out of the closet," the man said to Lisa. Lisa stayed in the closet until she heard his car leaving. She then crawled into the room. Sitting on the carpet, she thought, "It is more comfy, but why pink? Gross." Lisa crawled to the closet door. "I want a tiny war, though," she smiled. A few weeks later, Carol put pink rosebud wallpaper on the walls. Does everybody like it? What do you think about it? Be nice. "1973, May." The back door slammed shut. Lisa woke on the carpeted floor. The house was silent. Lisa laid her back on her back, playing with Buddy and watching the leaves on the trees flicker to and fro. I think I just watered my keyboard. The house is still silent. Where is everyone? She thought. She crawled into the living room and sat, listening for signs of life. The front door was closed. Nobody in the living room or dining room. Crawling into the kitchen, Lisa wondered where everyone had gone. "Maybe they're downstairs." She continued to the stairs. She let out a loud, "Ah!" No one responded from the basement. "Maybe they didn't hear me. I'm hungry," Lisa thought. Usually she was carried down the stairs, but since no one was around, she decided to try going downstairs on her own. She put her right hand out to get down to the first step. She fell onto the step. Lisa got up and faced the top stair and began backing down the stairs. At the bottom, she could not find anyone. Lisa continued through the laundry room, past the freezer, to Mike's shop. She sat at the entrance, seeing no one. The baby was alone again. Lisa turned to go back upstairs. As she put her left hand down to crawl, she felt a sharp pain. She had put her hand down on a multi-hooked fish bait. 3 of the fish hooks were stuck in her palm. Suddenly the back door slammed and someone ran down the stairs and then back up again, slamming the back door on their way out. As the baby crawled toward the laundry room, the hooks dug deeper into her palm. She decided scooching on her side would be better. Lisa sat at the laundry room door, waiting for someone to come in and notice her. There were people in the house now. Carol came downstairs and nearly stepped on Lisa as she entered the laundry room. Lisa looked up, showing Carol her left hand with the hooks in it. "Ugh!" Lisa said. "Mike!" Carol yelled. Carol was angry. Recognizing the urgency in Carol's voice, Mike ran down the stairs to the laundry room. Carol and Mike argued for a moment. Mike got his pliers and gently removed the hooks from Lisa's hand. The baby did not cry and stayed still during the procedure. They cleaned her hand and wrapped it with gauze. Crawling became difficult in the next few weeks and painful for a time. The bandage would frequently come off. It was decided that day that they should get the crib from the attic to keep Lisa contained. After this, when Lisa was not in her crib, it was difficult to keep her off those stairs. Christopher found Lisa on the stairs when Carol and Mike were gone one day. Michael came along and put her on the space above the stairs. It was an empty space used for decoration, level with the main floor, about 6 feet above the staircase. Lisa sat there laughing and giggling at her funny brothers. Dawn nearly had a heart attack when she came around the corner to see the baby sitting up there. "Get her down from there now," Dawn exclaimed. "Hurry, before Mom and Dad get home." The boys obliged. "Oh, that is simply adorable on her." It was Lisa's first birthday. Pamela said that. Aunt Pam. "I found it at Gilmore's. They have the cutest baby clothes," Martha replied. Mindy was sitting on the floor next to Lisa. She reached out and touched the buttons on Lisa's pink dress. Little pearls, Mindy whispered to herself. Lisa looked up and smiled at Martha. Mindy said, "Look, she likes it." And she did. It was pretty and very comfortable. Grandma Martha swooped Lisa up and said, "Let's go mingle." Lisa started out the day in a yellow dress, but as soon as Carol opened that gift, Martha insisted the baby be changed into the dress she had bought. "I just have to see how it looks on her. Please, Carol," she pled. Her insistence to have Lisa changed into a new outfit was more about Martha's need to brag about where she bought the clothing, and this need would be satisfied repeatedly during the birthday party. Lisa turns 1 year old today. The house is teeming with relatives. "Wasn't she wearing a yellow dress?" everyone asked Martha as she walked with the baby in her arms through the party, giving her the perfect opportunity to talk about where she bought the dress, but more importantly, she could tell everyone how close she was with the Gilmore family. She had been in the past, but not anymore. Carol was fuming. That woman has to make everything about her, and her safety pin buttons, constantly putting on airs. If she knew how her sweet baby boy actually was, that might knock her down a peg or two. "Oh, Martha," Carol called out as she approached Lisa Redo. "Oh, Martha," Carol called out as she approached Lisa and Martha in the kitchen. The men were gathered there with their cocktails. Grandma Rice was deep in conversation. "Aunt Beverly wants to see the baby," Carol said as she spirited Lisa away. Back in the living room were gathered the women and children, surrounded by the matriarchs of her mother's family. Great-Grandma Young, Great-Grandmare Slover, Aunt Marie, Aunt Sid, Aunt Beverly. Great-Grandmare Grandmère Slover was from France. She spoke English with a very heavy French accent. She and Jackie would converse in French. Jackie was just a baby when the family made the voyage from France to Ellis Island. All the women took turns holding and playing with Lisa. The baby enjoyed the attention. The women remarked about how Lisa interacted with everyone, making them laugh as she made faces back to them. "Time to eat, everyone." Carol had made a buffet-style meal, so as there were too many people for a sit-down meal. The birthday girl was sat in her high chair in the living room, waiting to be fed. Lisa looked up to see Martha waddling toward her. Something about this woman made Lisa very uncomfortable. She shrank back as far as she could into the corner of the wooden high chair as Martha approached. "Hi, baby. Do you want some olives?" Martha asked as she tossed a handful of whole black olives onto Lisa's tray. Lisa scrunched up her face as if to say no. "Fine then, you little brat," Martha whispered in Lisa's face as she walked away. A few moments later, Carol noticed the olives on the baby's tray. "Good Lord, who did this?" Carol demanded. Carol removed the olives and went to check Lisa's mouth. Lisa put both her hands up as if to say, "I didn't eat any." This child's amazing, Carol thought. She always understands what's happening. Carol was shocked. Why would anyone do that? Carol thought. She could have choked to death. "Oh, Carol, you're overreacting. It's probably one of the men. You know they don't know anything," Martha quipped. "Try to be a good hostess and let it go, dear. You're making a scene." Martha giggled as Carol glared at her. Martha never admitted to giving Lisa the olives. The dishes were done. The house was clean again. Carol sat in the living room smoking a cigarette. She breathed a sigh of relief, releasing the stress of the day. Lisa's birthday party had been a success, despite Martha's complaints of fingerprints on the silverware and someone trying to kill the baby. I need to find out who did that, Carol pondered. It had to be a relative, but who? Carol was sure it was no one from her side of the family. I didn't want this baby, but Lisa's so good. She never cries or even fusses, Carol thought to herself. None of her kids were as easygoing. December. It's a good story? Oh, thank you. I am not an English teacher, but I did go to college for English well, I had a double major of English, as in literature, and Western European Studies. December 1973. We all live in a yellow submarine, yellow submarine, yellow submarine, Lisa heard as she began to wake up. Yay, she thought, and pulled herself to stand. Hanging onto the railing of the crib, Lisa began to dance and try to sing along. The baby's door was always cracked 2 inches. It must be Saturday, she thought. She could see her siblings running back and forth in the hallway. Christopher ran by the room and saw Lisa dancing, then took off to the kitchen. Mom, the baby's awake, the baby's awake, the baby's awake, Mom. Thank you, Chris, Carol replied. I'll be in a minute. Chris ran back to the baby's room and began talking to Lisa. What doing, baby? Are you dancing? He asked. Lisa did a little baby boogie. Chris laughed. He got down low, put his hands on the crib bars and said, Oh no, I'm in jail. Oh no, help me get out. The baby mimicked what he did and spoke. Suddenly he ran from the room screaming, Mom, the baby understood me. Why would I not understand him, Lisa thought. I'm a baby, not an idiot. He told Carol the story as she walked in and picked Lisa up. That's nice, Carol replied, not listening at all. Let's go eat breakfast is ready. Chris bounced down the hall on his tippy toes ahead of them. It was Christmas time. The house was warm, snow blanketed the world outside the house. Lisa was placed in a high chair that stayed next to Carol except during special occasions. Are we getting a big tree today, Dad? Chris asked. About as big as me, Mike responded gruffly. Mike was not a morning person. When can we decorate it? Chris fired back. Mike let out a frustrated Let your dad wake up, Carol said, sensing Mike's anger rising. This afternoon, we're going to make some Christmas cookies and decorate the tree, Carol said sweetly. Chris tried to contain his excitement, but you could hear him thumping his feet on the chair rung. Suddenly, Mike's fist came down on the table, shaking the plates and silverware, startling everyone. Stop thumping your feet, damn it, and eat! Mike shouted. The room fell silent. Carol continued to eat, feeding Lisa scrambled eggs and rice cereal. Mike finished eating. He stormed into the living room to stoke the fire. He lit a cigarette and settled into his chair to read the Sunday paper. The rest of the kids quietly finished their breakfast, then went downstairs to watch TV and play. Uh-oh, what'd I do? There's more. Isn't there? It says page 5 of 14. And I'm not there. I think there's more, but I don't know where it is. So, that's that for now. Maybe that is it. It's 5,200 words. So that's it. That's first year and a half of life. And I hope that you enjoyed it. You're welcome. Thank you for listening. That took me about 4 days to write altogether, so I'll work on my second year of life, which will include a Masonic lodge ritual that my mom was invited to. What else happened? My first airplane ride when I was almost 3. It's kind of interesting. Yes, I wrote this book. I'm writing this book. This is my life story. I'm actually trying to work through the trauma of my life by writing the story. I think I've worked through most of it, but I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And since I have such a fantastic memory, and I did ask my relatives and everything what happened when I got older and could speak. Oh, that'll be another story too. The Doberman. Before that was my first words too. Was doggy, doggy paw. Um, but yeah, it's called the Moonchild. That's me. Because I'm ruled by the moon, not the sun, the moon. So thank you for listening. Wow, it's 40 minutes. That's a 40-minute excerpt, huh? I'm curious to see how long it's going to be if I go year by year like this. How many pages and how many words it'll be. I know that was 5,000 words. And then I've got stories too about my great-grandparents coming over here. I don't know how to facilitate the release of a book, especially when I'm not finished with it. But yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a good read for people. I just don't want to make it so. I want to highlight the good times as much as the weird, shocking bad times. But I think it's important to put the bad times in there too, because it's part of life. And I think it'll show people how you can suffer severe abuse and come out the other side. Well, I feel like I'm at least 80% intact. Wouldn't say I have it all together, but yeah, I feel like I don't have multiple personalities. I didn't get that from it because I was keenly aware of everything as it was happening. I remember telling myself, thinking after something really abusive would happen when I was a baby before I could talk. I remember thinking, well, can't do anything about it now, so I'm just gonna have to wait and see how this affects me when I get older. And I would just try and move on, because you have to live, you have to survive day to day. So, thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you have a fantastic night and you have the sweetest dreams ever. Have a great day, evening, wherever you are. And hopefully I'll be able to shut this off. Hold on, let me see. Did I do it? I am doing it. Yay! I got it. I did it. I got it.